For a long time I did not know what it was that I was speaking with when I consulted the I Ching. I later came to call this figure the Sage, because a sage is mentioned in hexagram 4, which describes the requirements of the person who approaches the sage. That the sage will not answer egotistical questions, it will not answer arrogance, but it will relate to modesty. And of course, when I first began using the I Ching or consulting it, I was in a modest position of needing help. That I wasn't thinking of myself as modest, but indeed I was, because I very much needed help. The identity of the sage I had been put aside as a question for quite a while because I was getting so much help. Well, who is the sage? I had noticed that in any consultation I had never been roughly treated. I would say sometimes the wordings in the Wilhelm I Ching were a bit rougher, in a sense, than my experience of the sage altogether. The question, who is the sage, remained, coming from a suspicion that it might be in conflict with my beliefs. Now, this question remained after having enormous help, and so in a way it was a contradiction, but still it was there, this doubt. So one day I had a meditation in which I saw a Chinese mandarin with pigtails, kind of a fat, unpleasant-looking figure, meditating. And I thought, oh, is this the sage? But the face looked plastic, and I wondered, the eyes I looked at were alive. Then as soon as I felt unpleasant about it, it disappeared. It was replaced then by a second image of a Western man whose face you might describe as blubbery, also unpleasant, also with a plastic face and alive eyes. And I thought, oh, I hope this isn't the sage. And no sooner had I thought that than it disappeared. Left me with the question, what is the meaning of this meditation? No sooner had I thought that than a voice said, people need images. And they create the images out of their own fabric of life, but they aren't the real thing. I will give you another image, which is also not totally the real thing, but is a good enough image for you to have. And then my field of vision was completely filled with light. And no sooner did I see that than it began to recede. And it receded up into the sky and was positioned as a bright star amid millions of other stars. And I was to realize that these were all highly developed consciousnesses. So I felt then that I had more to learn. My view had to expand.